I think this is worth a share. It's Nigel Farage speaking at the farmers' demonstration that was held in London. It's all been very peaceable, and obviously what happens to farmers also happens to small business owners, and it's no good looking at the inheritance tax as though, well, we know we have to pay tax on what we inherit. It's completely different because they're earning their money from where they're living, and to pay the tax on it, that article, the farm, has to be sold. So what do you leave a farmer with then? So I think this is quite a good address from Nigel. It's only short.
I also promise that if we have anything to do with it after the next general election, and you never know, the polls are looking quite good at the moment. If we have anything to do with it after the next election, if this has been done to your community, I promise you, we will reverse it. And I make that as a promise to you. So look, let's keep fighting. Let's keep the pressure up here and right around the country. And by the way, you've all been behaving impeccably. I know some think more radical action is planned for, but remember, we're not French. All right? They might set fire to things. That might be their culture. It's not our culture. And I would urge all of you, despite how much you've got on the line, despite how distressing this is, and I know in Clacton itself, I've met farming families in tears because they so desperately want to hand this on to the next generations. But please, keep doing it the way you're doing it. Voluble, but peaceful, within the law. And I tell you what, if we do that, we'll get the whole country on side. I wish you all the very best of luck. I promise you, I am right behind you. To London we go!
That's pretty good stuff from Nigel. And it's really quite important because what's happening now is, this is the best way I look at politics. If you think that over the last 15 years, or let's say since Maggie Thatcher, we have had our country assets stripped. We have had everything that we have, that we've built up, our former generations, our fathers, our grandfathers who built sweat and toil in foundries and steelworks, in coal mines and in factories, in the car industry, in everything we were known for. We've had it all stripped away. Our trains are owned by German and European companies. China owns quite a bit of stuff in this country, and we've no manufacturing left. We haven't even got a smelting plant left where we can even produce steel. It's you can be forgiven for thinking it's deliberate, and my mind is out on that, but I can't see any other solution for that. We've been asset stripped by every single government since Margaret Thatcher left, and it doesn't matter who the faceless eunuch is in charge of the country at the time, be it John Major or Tony Blair. We know what wars are about. Julian Assange has told us that. It's basically wealth transfer from the tax system back into the military-industrial complex. And farming is the last bastion. If they do what they're planning to do with farmland, which is basically stop growing stuff we can eat in favour of a more radical approach to wildlife, we aren't going to be able to survive to eat. I think Lilani's fiance summed it up best at the farming protest. It just tickled me. Billy is a man of few words, Billy Duffy, brilliant guitarist. And Lilani was there at the protest holding the card. You know, I'm in London, I haven't necessarily come to the protest, but Billy's behind it, just dead, typical northern, you know, just holding the placard. And Lilani's full of it, and she's talking about supporting the farmers. And Alan Miller goes, "So why are you here today, Billy?" He said, "Well, I like food." That just sums it up, doesn't it? I like food. It couldn't be any more simplistic than that. And if you like food, there's only two places it comes from. It's either grown in the ground, drops from a tree, which is, you know, your arable stuff, or it comes from something that's cultivated, that's livestock. And we've got quite high standards in this country that we want to keep for our livestock. And, you know, it's the last place of attack, isn't it? They've had a go with us with the rollout, and now if this goes, the thing is, when I've talked to Reform and Nigel and different people, everything can be repealed. There's nothing written in stone, And as a civil servant once said to me, well, yes, quite, June. It can all be repealed, of course, depending on successive governments. And one thing that they're going to do is turn on the civil service. And they'll have the capabilities to do it. They're on with it now. So this isn't a party political about reform. I just happened to see Nigel in a video on Twitter. I'm talking about how this country and its people have been treated. And I think it's been absolutely abysmal. I've never seen people from all walks of life. You can't, normally if a Labour government's in, the Conservative voters are a bit dismayed. Oh, Labour's in, things are going to cost more. But everybody's fed up. Everybody's fed up. Whether they're students or pensioners, whether they're Labour or Tory, whether they're Lib Dems or they don't vote, the religious types, the people who aren't religious, everybody is saying the same thing. And you watch, King Charles and Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner. Angela, have you seen Angela Rayner's shoes? Have you seen them great big shoes she's wearing? I want to do it in a Yorkshire accent. I don't know why. I want to do right broad Yorkshire while I do this, talking about the big clod-upping shoes she has on. I'll use my Uncle Bill, who once said to me when I put a pair of platforms on, "That's T getting something wrong with your feet." He only wore them in my day when there was something wrong with your feet. Have you seen them walking through Cornwall, dragging kids out of school, probably kicking them back to get them to say, "Hiya," waving a flag like North Korea. Please, we can't stand any of you. I mean, the King's more weth than weth. You can't trust him, can you? What an abysmal state of affairs. He's clinging on to a 1,200-year-old brand that's basically been abandoned. And I think Trump summed it up best when he said in that interview he's not going to deport Harry because he's got enough problems with his wife. Terrible woman. That's Trump. He just comes out with it, doesn't he? He just executive order after executive order. We can't do that, of course. We've got to get it past Parliament, and we all know what Parliament's like. But if there's a landslide victory, and I think it's going to be Brexit Mark 2, I've said it before, come the next election, and don't forget the MPs will be fed up with it as well. They're not, they might be whipped into like toeing the line. But there's a lot of MPs out there and councillors that are dissatisfied with the way things are being handled. And it can only go so far. It has to get bad to get better. Because it has to get bad enough to wake up people who don't take any notice. Because now everybody's taking notice. Which is a good thing. So we have to suffer him. There's no way around it. But it will not be forever. And, I see your comments on the threads and how you've talked to other people. That's amazing. That's the crucial stuff, actually. The really crucial stuff is having the courage, as it were, to talk to your friends and your neighbours in a calm and sensible way about normal problems. Don't go down talking about chemtrails and whatever you think, which could be termed as conspiracies, but probably aren't. Stick to normal stuff. Why is fuel so much? Why are they putting the electric up? Why are we paying so much if these new energy companies are providing something wonderful? Because it's not windy enough for wind farms and it's not sunny enough for panels. Do you get me? Just stick to stuff that they can understand. And that way you'll get them on board to understand that we are, people say, well, what can I do? I'm only one person. Yeah, it said 7.2 billion people. We can always do something because we are the majority. The people are the majority, and I'm getting messages from people who basically gave me, ripped me a new one during lockdown when I was coming out with what I was saying. And now, because circumstances have changed for them after difficulties after the rollout, that they've had to learn the hard way, which is tragic. And I'm, fortunately for me, I wasn't in a position where I could be pushed into anything. But I think what you'll find is as we move forward, more and more people will get activated. And let's face it, there's only one thing you need to do. There's only one thing, one job you need to do on the day. Vote. Vote. Never has Mark Twain's statement of if voting was worth anything, they wouldn't let you do it, has been made more redundant than it has in British politics right now.